This part of this T here, it switches into the sprinkler system, because this is the sprinkler system here. The thing with the key is there's a little chain holding these two valves, and you can't close them. And this one's locked, so, and there's a key on the bottom shelf of that. It undoes this, and then you can close those if you had a problem somewhere. You could do it, but you wouldn't want to leave it like that. For that one. This goes through to the outside one. This would be something that the fire department would connect to out there, and they could pump water into that, and it would go through every sprinkler in the building. So this is just all sprinkler system. This everything that goes from this point on is the sprinkler system, and then going from here on, this is the same loop that I was talking about. I think we got that in every building. This is the water main going through, backflow preventer. This is the filtration thing, pressure reducing valve. This is all of this plastic piping in here is McTaggart stuff. This is, McTaggart system, so it comes off of here. Like this is the water going, this comes through. This is shut here, so the water coming from the street goes through, can't go past this point. It has to go down and through all of McTaggart's stuff, and then comes back out and comes back in again here. If McTaggart wanted to, take all this stuff out, you just have to close this valve and open this one. And so this is the main coming into the building still, runs over here, over to cross over down, and enters. This is the main domestic hot water tank. It's 80 gallon. Comes over, down, and into the bottom of the tank. It's a cold inlet. But you can see it tees off there. And that line goes across to there and serves all these units. And then this comes out of the hot water tank. So this is hot here. And then this is the hot to each unit. And so they all can be shut off down here. They can also be shut off in your units, but they could be shut off here if you had to. Hot line, cold line. But this was the expansion tank, which was part of the litigation battle. These were all replaced. This bigger expansion tank, which is beside the bigger hot water tank, is the domestic water system, expansion system. And what it does is it just there's an airspace in there that compresses so that you can keep relatively the same pressure throughout the whole system all the time. It's the same timers as we had in all of our bathroom fans originally. And so Mike has this set up now, and if you can look at it, you can actually see the dark. There's a circle there, and that represents 24 hours, and there's a gap in that circle, and that's the hours that when the clock gets to that point in time, it turns off, and it doesn't turn on again until that point in time. But you can feel this one. If you feel that line there, that's coming from the heat pump outside. And this is going into it. So this has come through the building and this is going back out. Yeah. And so
typically that's all the heat we're using for the floors.
Yeah.
It's just like nothing else is needed to keep those floors hot.
No.
Right.
And then this system is the heating system. These two pipes here, which go through the wall, go out to the heat pump. And when they come back in, you can feel it's warm. It's actually, I felt one yesterday, it was too hot to touch. It just kind of blows you away that they're pulling that much heat out of the air. It's still very warm right now. This is the return. So what it's doing is it's coming from the heat pump in this one, the upper one, goes out and goes up to all of the units. And the way that works, you can see these ones here, 1.1 to 1.6, 1.4, Michelle's got her heat on. So that's the only one with the light on it. That's the only unit calling for heat at this moment. But they switch around as soon as one calls it. This light here is for the recirculation pump. This pump here is quite a big one. It's the one that pushes all that heated stuff through the whole building. It only comes on if one of these is on, and then if one of those turns off, then this turns off. So when that light's on, it means that it's pumping. It's a recirculating pump, and it just pumps through a loop, and it just keeps going. And then what happens in your place, if your thermostat calls for heat, it opens a valve in that little thing inside of a closet wall somewhere. It opens a valve there, and then the system that's going through that loop goes through all the loops in your floors as well. And then comes back into the main system and comes back down through, this is the hot, that's the cooler one. You can feel there's a temperature difference between what's going out to the building and what's coming back, obviously, because it's putting some of that heat into the floor. And then what we've also been doing, although I would prefer people don't do this, or if they do it, to tell me or tell the whole team. The heat pumps are 23. It says right on here. You can see it. 23, which is that with these two, and 24 and 26. These two. So what you would do is flip them off. Count to 10 and turn them back on. It seems to be a reset that sometimes works, and that tends to happen also after power outages. If the heat pump won't seem to work properly, that seems to work more than half the time.
Right.
My understanding, in terms of the heat pumps outside, there's a couple of switches there to reset it.
There is.
Like when we have power outages or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and it basically does the same thing as switching it off here.
Oh, you can do either one.
Well, it's probably better to do it out there, but
Okay.
they're pretty Mickey Mouse.
I
I've
have-
had to take them apart and repair them a couple of times. They're just a big red lever switch, two
Right.
of them, and you switch it off and do the same
Yeah.
thing. Wait a few seconds and switch it back on.
Yeah.
But this one here, the switch, it just has a little plastic connection to the actual switch inside from the lever,
Right.
and it's really hokey.
Yeah.
And so if it feels like it's flopping around, then you have to take the cover off and push it back into the proper place, and then put the cover back on. If we ever end up junking this, we should probably save those switches to replace somewhere else. This system here is this, which is the backup heat, which is turned off right now. And we had it turned off all winter last year, and none of them came on. But we almost, except building 5 is running on that. The way this works here is that this is a little adjustable thermostat here, and it goes up, this little wire here goes up, over, and outside, and there's a little piece sticking out from the wall out there, and it tells you what the temperature is outside. You can set this to come on at whatever temperature you want. And when it comes on, it turns this on. It won't right now because I think I have it turned off at the panel, but if it did, it's telling us that it's actually 9 degrees outside right now. And so if you had it set at 9, this would come on and it would turn this on, which is the recirculation pump from this system, which goes out and puts it into the system. And then once it gets into the system, it also turns this one back on, which pumps it through the whole building.
And that's how building 5 is getting heated?
It is, yeah. So none of this is working in building 5, it's just this. Very simple though, but it wasn't, it was never connected.
Okay.
And the reason I'm glad we had these in, but it turns out we didn't, the reason we put these in, we didn't put them in because we thought these things were gonna fall apart. We
Right.
put them in because we thought of the temperature, low temperatures.
Right.
Turns out that the heat pump themselves would have done the job.
Okay.
But statistically, they would have done the
Right.
job. In this is the expansion tank for that system.
Right.
And what it is just a bladder. I don't know if people saw the one that I cut open down in the parking lot, which was that size. This one is for the domestic hot water system. This one's for the heating system. And it sprung a little tiny leak, and it was spewing water across the room. It was just a little jet of water, which I couldn't even see. And I saw this water pouring down the wall over on the other side of the room. But anyway, I put a screw in it with a washer on it, and it plugged it. And then this one, which is the one that has to be replaced in building 4, that'll be a new one. I asked them to get 2, so that we would have one on hand, because I think really, all you have to do is unscrew it from here and put it back in and screw it back in, and it's done. And so we have one, and then if we use the second one, I'll get another 1 or 2, depending on how much they cost. Like, this tank is sort of separate from the heating system with all the glycol in it. This line that's coming through here, from here, is all just street water. And so this is full of water from the water system, and it goes through and it feeds into the heating system here, right here. And so when the leak started there, what was leaking was actually water coming from the street. So that's telling you that that big pump is working. And so this is now set that it's on all the time. This is the only source of heat for this build.
Okay, a couple words on the solar, just so people know what the pieces are. This is the inverter, which takes the AC signal sent from the roof and converts it to DC. And this panel, if you want to read it, we're producing 258 watts of power, which is pretty low, but it's dark and it's
Dark, yeah.
If you come in here in the summer, you'll hear the fan roaring because a lot of heat comes out of here. And it'll be in the 2000, 10 times as much. So the system is, where are the pipes? Okay, there they are, the red ones. They've got red blades on them. It's coming into the inverter and then into the panels. In emergency, if there's an emergency like fire, and the firemen, they will come in here and disconnect you because they don't want to go up on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Potential live power. They will basically just clunk this thing down. So if you had to be called to shut down the solar, this is the easiest way to do it. There are other ways to do it, but this will work. You see that little Wi-Fi extender? That's picking up the signal from the built-in Wi-Fi here and sending it to Jack's house, thanks to Jack. And it's piggybacking on his commercial Wi-Fi
Wow.
and sending the data to Fernia Central. Allows people like me and Martin and anyone else who wants to monitor and to receive error messages, and occasionally to do a software update. They haven't really done very many of those. And software update would probably be done in the middle of the night and might be the only thing that you would see on your Wi-Fi. So if you push this screen, you get these little icons, home, and then you use the arrows. This is the data page, the log, this is the data, and this is the settings. You can go into settings and look for a thing called standby, page through it, hit yes, and then wait 5 or 10 minutes, and just as you're about to give up, it'll start. But you shouldn't have to do that. And frankly, it's a bummer if we're not charging, but there's no harm to the system if we miss a day. So usually those of us who are actually monitoring can take care of it, so it shouldn't really be a problem. So if you're ever here in the summer and the fan's not running, there is a problem.
Right.
So
Okay.
let one of us know. But we should get an automated message, and we don't always.
So this is what turns it from what, DC to AC, right? Is that the?
We sell this power
Right.
to BC Hydro in a matching, there's a bank. And at the end of a certain pay period, we pay them for what we use and they pay us less
Yes.
for what they take.
Yes, right.
And they keep the balance,
Yeah.
but we still make a
Right.
profit on the power that we produce.
Right.
All right, Building 3 has produced year-to-date $2,134 value to us from the balance between what we use and what BC Hydro rebates to us.
These have been in every building, and I really don't know what they are.
Wow.
Where do they come from? No, I
They
see.
come
I'm trying to get back.
from the water system. This is the cold line
Yeah.
here, go down into the hot water tank, and then it just comes from there, and I don't know what it's for. Gonna maybe talk to Oakham about and see if he can tell me what that is.
Actually, it looked to me like in the building down there, it just went into an empty pipe.
It may, yeah.
Like it didn't even go into.
I don't think there's not anything really going through it much, but I guess it's there just in case. I didn't point out things like telephone,
Some of that
have
stuff. yeah, some of that is-
landlines. Some people have
Yeah,
landlines.
We have landline.
Okay, so
250.
yeah,
And
and
they have
other
potential
buildings,
for
nobody
it.
does.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing is empty.
The TV and the internet is all coming through this one. So
It comes through a separate
the box to your left.
one, yeah,
I think
this
is
one,
it.
I think. A separate line.